Welcome back. After the U.S. Senate repealed a ban on mining near the Boundary Waters, a lot of questions were raised about what this really means. Sammy Salina found the answers to some of the questions Minnesotans are asking.
There are a lot of questions and misinformation regarding the Senate vote to lift the ban on mining near the Boundary Waters. So let's address some of the comments. Jesse Ahart posted, the proposal is not actually in the Boundary Waters. And Jesse is right. The mine site Twin Metals is seeking is out in the Superior National Forest. But opponents say because the project is upstream in the Boundary Waters watershed, it will impact the Boundary Waters. James Kral asked, can Twin Metals contain the pollution? So U.S. Forest Service studies conducted in 2016 and 2022 found that sulfide ore copper mining near the Boundary Waters poses severe risks, including permanent water and soil contamination. Angel Rose asks, who is going to benefit from the removal of these protections? Well, the immediate beneficiary is Twin Metals and the people that will be employed through this project. Supporters say that Twin Metals mine would create over 750 permanent jobs, more than 1,500 spin-off jobs, but a 2018 Harvard economic study found that there would be an initial but temporary net growth in employment. But over time, the quote, economic benefits of mining would be outweighed by the negative impact of mining on the recreational industry and on in-migration. Carla Peterson asks, who owns Twin Metals? Well, Twin Metals Minnesota is a subsidiary of a Chilean mining conglomerate, Antofagasta, owned by one of Chile's wealthiest families. Perry Marcus asks, what will the mined mineral be used for? The company argued that new low-carbon technologies designed to combat climate change need these precious metals. Think wind turbines and lithium-ion batteries in electric vehicles, though they have many uses beyond renewable energy, including construction. Joan Larson asked, can this be reversed if Dems win the majority in the midterms? Well, there is a state bill aiming to amend Minnesota law on managing mining minerals in the Boundary Waters watershed, and depending on who wins the governor's office this next election could influence what happens next. Also worth noting, a future Democratic president couldn't simply reimpose the Biden-era rule, but if there were to be, let's say, a liberal Congress who had the backing of a future president, a new prohibition could be possible. Now, if a mine were to be built, it would take years to go through this process. There are state, federal permits needed, and Twin Metals could also face court challenges. Sammy Salina, KARE 11 News.
Right now, pickleball's popularity continues to grow as millions of players take to the court. But health experts warn injuries are also on the rise. Jeremiah Jacobson talks to a pain management specialist about how to prevent pickleball injuries from happening.
It's hard to know the exact number of pickleball players, but an estimated 24.3 million people in the U.S. took to the courts in 2025. That's a participation growth of 479% since 2020.
It is the fastest growing sport in the U.S. across the entire age spectrum.
Dr. Trishul Kapoor with Cleveland Clinic says pickleball provides a number of physical and mental health benefits. But with any sport, injuries are bound to happen. Kapoor says he commonly sees players with shoulder joint and rotator cuff injuries, wrist injuries, muscle strains, ligament sprains in the knees and ankles. And he says preventing injuries starts with preparing your body before playing pickleball.
When joints and muscles are not adequately warmed up, and it's exactly what it means, literally, there's not enough blood flow to the region, there's not enough relaxation, elasticity to the tissue, they're more prone to injury.
Kapoor says it's also important to have the proper equipment. That includes appropriate shoes with cushioning and good grip to prevent slips and falls, having the right paddle for your body and hand size to lower the risk of wrist injuries, and to avoid tight or confining clothes that can impact how your body moves. Finally, he says to focus on posture and your technique, and if you do get hurt, see a doctor.
It's important to pay attention to your symptoms, not just walk away from it or brush it off and say it's not important. Keep track of it, write it down if you can't remember what's going on, and if it persists, get it evaluated.
Gambling has taken over sports and even our politics. So for the first time ever, the federal government is going to dedicate research money to studying gambling addiction. This afternoon, Kent takes a look at where that research will focus and why experts say it can't come soon enough.
At a time when you can use your phone to put money on anything from the outcome of an NBA playoff game to the Iran war, you may be surprised to learn what type of money our country has put toward the issue.
Gambling has never been recognized by the federal government. There's not been a penny spent on federal money in all these years on gambling.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. That should give pause to everybody.
Susan Sheridan Tucker, executive director of the Minnesota Alliance on Problem Gambling, says she is encouraged to see the military finally receive the first federal medical research funding approved for gambling addiction.
There's a very high prevalence rate of gambling amongst active military and veterans, and the suicide rate is very high. So anything that comes out of that population is going to be helpful. Even in the time that I've been doing this work, it's just exploded and it's everywhere. To be in an environment where you literally can bet on anything, I don't think that's a healthy place for us as a society to be.
What is demand for treatment right now in Minnesota?
Amongst the few providers that we have, they are seeing an increase in calls. And it primarily is sports betting that they're seeing. Younger people coming in and dealing with sports betting.
And keep in mind, though problem gambling treatment is free in Minnesota, she says it usually takes years for someone to seek it out.
On average, it's about 10 years. And that's a long runway to create a lot of damage.
It's why the Alliance also offers free financial counseling and free access to apps that offer a way to reduce time and money spent gambling on phones.
It's a harm prevention tool for individuals who realize, I've been taken over by the apps, so this will block all those apps. The last few months, actually, we've received many calls.
And she says educators are among those calling.
Some teachers see it in their classroom. The kids that are still having their phones in class, they're gambling in class. I mean, we have no prevention in schools. Nothing. We do not utter the word problem gambling. We're going to be paying the consequences of that, unfortunately.
Especially at a time when there's a lot of money to be made at their expense.
Ohio just fined Calshi $5 million for marketing essentially to teens. Actually, that's a small price for them to pay.
Stick with us. More news and weather's coming up after the break.